Right then. Ooh, space.
Space. The final frontier.
I do have the subtitles on.
Final because it wants to kill us.
Yeah, clearly.
Sometimes we forget that, but the void is always waiting.
Oh. Oh, so they don't know. Oh, this looks good.
Maybe it's because
Oxygen levels critical.
everything's so...
Oxygen credits. Wow. Oh. Kind of felt a bit like space zombies, but I'm sure they'll explain it soon enough. Soon enough. Oxygen. Hey, Jamie Matheson. Okay. Yes.
So how does space kill you? 90 seconds in?
Toast.
You're dead.
You're dead. Ah, lovely.
Any questions?
You're missing it, aren't you?
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Space.
Space. He longs for it. He belongs out there. Oh yeah, he longs for it. Oh. He is a traveler from the stars, after all.
What's that?
That is my theme tune. Otherwise known as a distress call.
Like distress calls.
You only really see the true face of the universe when it's asking for your help.
Ah.
Now, there's a new
Unlicensed
beta
oxygen.
shell on the TARDIS.
Guys.
Oh. Oh, it's one of those
Hello.
space zombies from the opening? Or is it going to be kind of like a jump scare and it's going to be just a guy sleep? Nope. Yep. Oh, God. Is the suit keeping him up? How's he standing?
No, his suit's standing up.
Yeah.
He's just along for the ride.
Ah, interesting idea.
Standing for him. There was no oxygen, right? Before we got here?
But his suit said there's
Didn't you just suffocate?
credits.
His tank's full.
Yeah.
40 minus 36
Sorry, what?
equals what?
Oh no, I was just saying that Nardo was saying that we...
4, Bill.
There's people out here.
4 survivors. The universe shows its true face when it asks for help. We show ours by how we respond.
Hmm. Oh God, don't tell me there's a dead person in there too. But the suit's still going? Okay, he knows. Oh, there's no one in there. He knows. That cheeky look.
Oxygen is available for personal use only at competitive prices.
A commodity.
The suits. Personal use.
Ugh.
They only have oxygen in the suits themselves.
Any unlicensed oxygen will be automatically expelled to protect market value.
Charge
Ah,
for the air you
wow.
breathe.
Now who is this?
Doctor plus 2.
Oh no.
You sent out a distress call.
Get out of there. Now.
Yeah.
Right.
There are suits in there, for God's sake.
Suits in
Stay
there.
away from the suits.
It's almost as if the person inside does not matter. Or did not matter.
A single line of instruction was sent to all suits. Deactivate your organic component.
Organic component.
As in people.
Plan B. Filtering out all the oxygen.
Ugh.
So they can sell it back to us.
Ah.
Capitalism in space.
I was about to say the big bad of this episode, capitalism.
What?
Hey.
Sorry. Yeah, I wasn't expecting... Hello.
Great, we rescued a racist.
What, excuse me?
And you are?
We got your distress call.
From the Union.
The Union's a myth.
The Union's a myth. Yeah, how about that? Ugh.
Sorry, is your name Darren?
Darren.
Darren.
Oh, makes more sense.
Yours isn't working. Suit's a mess. Needs a complete overhaul.
Ugh. I don't like it. I don't like that. Hal.
What about the brains of these suits? The AI.
Ooh.
Dumb as rocks.
I mean, they're not that dumb, the suits. But still, dumb enough that they do require the organic component. Because I was going to say, why not just use the suits then?
Warning, helmet malfunction.
Oh no.
Please advise local technician.
Ooh, the sound design. Oh, look at this. Oh. She's got a helmet on. But she's so out of it still. Oh my. He gave her his helmet. Oh, doctor.
He walked in a vacuum for far too long. He's mostly okay, but he paid a price.
What do you mean?
Oh.
He's in section 12.
Doctor.
Can he not speak? Oh, he's blind.
Bill,
You're blind.
I am? Oh, well, that explains the bruised shins. Oh, don't go all gooey on me. It's temporary.
Really?
Is it?
Yeah. Bill, I've got no TARDIS, no Sonic. About 10 minutes oxygen left. And now I'm blind.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how unbearable I'm going to be when I break?
Don't do this.
There's a rescue ship on the way.
We've picked up a company transponder.
If there's a rescue ship on the way, then
I don't know if that's a
rescue
rescue.
ship already be here. You give me one good reason why you shouldn't join me.
Whoa, hold
We're getting
on.
a little punchy here. It's the
Yeah,
oxygen
a
finish.
bit.
It's making it harder to think.
No,
Action.
not Darren. No.
Doctor, my suit! It's doing it again! I can't move! Great, I get fined for dying.
Fight for dying.
Doctor?
What if there was never a hack?
Yeah.
What if this is just business?
Yeah.
Business as usual. Bill, do you trust me?
Why are you saying that?
We're going to have to leave you here.
Oh.
What? I'll die!
You're not going to die, but I won't lie to you. This will not be good. I will see you soon.
I believe him. I believe him. He's got an idea. He figured something out there.
Just tell me a joke!
It's not a goodbye. It's not a goodbye.
Joke. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a good thing.
Mama, answer me!
Your life is in our hands.
I mean, that looks pretty bad, but I think the doctor figured something out. That looks good.
My life science. He's wired them to the coolest.
He's got a plan. He's got a
When we
plan.
die, it vents.
It's revenge as bright as the sun.
No, 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 no.
It's revenge you can see across galaxies.
He's presenting it in this
Not
manner, but
bad
there's something else.
For a blind man.
He's locked us out of this subroutine.
The suits are doing exactly what they were designed to do. What your employers are telling them to do.
And what would that be?
Save the oxygen that you are wasting.
So everyone had to die.
Well, you are just organic components.
Yeah, the suits
and you're
are
no longer efficient, so you're being thrown
the things
away.
that really
Believe
matter.
me, they're your replacements. The end point of capitalism. Bottom line, where human life has no value at all. We're fighting an algorithm, a spreadsheet. Like every worker everywhere. We're fighting the suits.
Ah,
They're nearly through.
yeah.
Open up! They take our lives, we take their station, and every penny they will ever make from it. Dying well.
Open it.
There you go. He's inspiring them. But again, I think there's a reason he's letting this happen.
But above all, suits, our deaths will be expensive. We die, your precious station dies. The whole thing will blow. The company will make the biggest loss in its history.
That'll
A
stop
moment
him.
ago, we were too expensive to live. Now we're more expensive dead.
Ah.
To the rest of your lives.
Yeah. I suppose that'll heal up.
Oxygen's too low. Not enough for a lethal dose.
Ah.
I know what it takes to kill someone.
I think I'm alive.
Yep, you do seem to be under that impression.
Oh. Ah. First group hug.
Head office. We've got a complaint to make.
I think we can arrange that.
Oh, I love the interior so much. I love the design of the station. Look at it.
But as far as I remember, there's a successful rebellion 6 months later.
Okay.
Corporate dominance in space is history.
Okay.
That about wraps it for capitalism. Then the human race finds a whole new mistake.
Yeah.
But that's another story.
Right.
But you will.
Never again.
He's got these shades on.
Now.
I'm serious. We were so close to not making it back. Then what happens to the vault? What if you got killed out there? Huh? What happens to your precious Earth then?
This is quite the shift in his
You
demeanor.
need to be ready if that door ever opens. Look at me!
Nardole, I can't. I really can't.
Oh no, he's still blind.
I can't look at anything. Ever again. I'm still blind.
Oh, you know? That keeps it interesting, doesn't it?
Okay, how about that? That is something really quite unique, isn't it? The Doctor has taken damage, right? Now, you know, realistically speaking, of course, he's not going to be blind forever, but the fact that it's carrying over to the next episode, or perhaps even the next few episodes, that feels kind of refreshing. That the Doctor is going to carry an injury from the events of an episode into the next episode, and perhaps the episode after that one. Right? So it's I mean, you know, calling it exciting is maybe not the right thing or the right term to use essentially, but it is something new and unique. So, you know, I'm excited about that prospect of it, how exactly he'll function out there, right? So, you know, essentially, that whole scene of him in the TARDIS right at the conclusion, right? Him, Nardole, Bill, and the two that end up staying alive, he's just putting on an act. He's blind at that moment. Right? He's not actually able to see any of them, but he actually did a pretty solid job of, you know, directing the TARDIS, or, you know, giving the TARDIS his instructions, essentially, you know, looking in the right directions as he's speaking to them, to each one of them, essentially. And then, of course, you know, right in the final scene, after a certain point, the shades become really quite noticeable. But also another standout of that scene is Nardole, or specifically Nardole's tone. It's really quite the jarring contrast, isn't it? Because, you know, throughout the episode, Nardole is kind of, he's there for, you know, exposition. He's there for wisecracks, right? He's just comedic relief throughout that episode. And then all of a sudden, he just kind of shifted into this tone, right? He's really quite cross. So I don't know, maybe the shift that happens here is a bit jarring, right? But yeah, you know, Nardole's a part of the crew, right? He joins them for an outing, though he was kind of there in episode 1, in the conclusion of episode 1, right? It's all three of them together, but here it's all three right from the beginning, all together. So I thought it was a fun dynamic. Him and the Doctor, him and Bill, all three of them together, bouncing off of each other. It was fun. You know, I liked it. You know, as you can tell, I've warmed up to Nardole at this point. Earlier, you know, early days, I was not the biggest fan of Nardole. And I think, you know, you can't really blame me for that. I just didn't see enough of him up until that point. But, you know, that being said, sometimes you can take to characters almost immediately. You know, you think of people like Rory, you think of people like Captain Jack, you know, River Song. But in Nardole and in Matt Lucas's approach, you have a really specific type of banter and, you know, comedy. It's not really the type of comedy that's for everyone, right? It's a really unique and distinct style of delivery, isn't it? But yeah, you know, I'm beginning to like Nardole's inclusion, his presence. So now more than ever, he's really going to need Nardole's help as well, right? Alongside Bill's. But before I dig into the episode, first of all, I simply have to mention the production side of things. You know, I think this right here might be the best space-centric episode of Doctor Who, or the best space has looked in Doctor Who. And, you know, I've seen quite a bit of space, but, you know, this depiction of space is more of a grounded depiction, right? You know, the space station itself looked incredible, right? The visual effects, the CGI and all of that, it just looked fantastic. Right. You know, I know it's like beating a dead horse at this point, but many of you know I just love that setting. I love the setting of kind of being stuck in this cramped place. Yeah, maybe as a whole, it's not really a cramped place, but there's places inside of the space station that become really quite cramped, right? As they become cornered on many occasions throughout this episode. And I thought the cold open is a fantastic approach, right? It immediately just impresses you, doesn't it? The look of it all. And like I said, it's certainly the best depiction, in my opinion at least, the most realistic depiction of space yet in Doctor Who. And again, I've really got to compliment the look of it, right? The photography and the color grading specifically as well. You know, this series of Doctor Who has a really, really distinct color grade. And, you know, that can be really quite important in setting the tone for a series, for a film, for anything really, right? And, you know, I just happen to be a really big fan of post-production, you know, color grading specifically in photography, cinematography. You know, these are some of the elements of the filmmaking process, of the production process that I really gravitate towards and really, really kind of dial into, right? So to me, you know, it's a bit of a treat. I love the look of this series. Even the last series had a fantastic look. I thought there's some great costume design and makeup. Makeup specifically is really quite a standout in this episode, right? My God, you know, the dead bodies of the humans, right? The organic component, if you will. Huh, how about that? My God. There's something so chilling about, you know, these suits doing their things, right? And of course, suits, yeah, there's a few things that are applicable to that term, but you know, the physical suits themselves, it is so chilling to see the dead bodies just hanging about, right? They're just there. They're the dead organic component that are a part of those suits that are kind of on the march, right? But yeah, the look of those people, right? The makeup of those people in that state, it's really, really quite jarring, really quite impressive. You know, initially it really kind of felt like space zombies. But, you know, as it plays out, it becomes clear, okay, you know, it's something else. You know, it might have felt like that. And, you know, maybe that is by design to make really essentially early on in the cold open establish or kind of set it up as space zombies. But no, there's something else at play here. Yeah. And even later, you know, as Bill kind of enters that state. Wow. I mean, the makeup there, you know, there's a really stunning sequence of her facing the vacuum of space, you know, without the helmet. That sequence is just beautiful. I felt that it was so effective in putting us in her shoes, in her headspace at that moment. It's good stuff, man. From a production standpoint, I'd say it's one of the standouts in recent memory of Doctor Who, for me at least. And from a writing perspective, it's really quite enjoyable as well. You know, it's really quite it's in many parts, it's really quite a political episode, even more so than usual, right? Noticeably so, right? It's quite the critique on capitalism, right? It's capitalism in space. But, you know, Jamie, you know, anytime I see that name pop up in the credits, in the opening credits, I immediately just assume that I am going to get something really quite interesting, something of a fascinating episode, right? You know, he's got episodes like Flatline and The Mummy on the Orient Express. So yeah, you know, Jamie is becoming a name that I become really quite excited about, right? So hopefully this continues. Down the line as well, you know, hopefully, you know, he is a name that pops up in the new Doctor Who series. But I love how the beginning of the episode is all about the Doctor yearning for space, right? The irresistible allure of space. It's beginning to catch up to him, right? You see that this is a man that kind of belongs out there because he is from out there. So at this point, 5 episodes in, you are kind of beginning to see the effects of kind of tethering the Doctor to one spot specifically, right? This is a traveler. This is a traveler from the stars. He's got to be free to go anywhere, anytime, right? So this is new. This is really something new for the Doctor. And you see that even in all of his experiences as the Doctor, hundreds and hundreds of experiences, hundreds of years or centuries of experiences, you know, this is still something quite new to him, right? There is something that can be kind of new to him and that can be a bit of a challenge for him. But also, speaking of the series now being 5 episodes in, you see for the first time now, after, you know, multiple outings and kind of getting used to it, Bill is, finally is not really the right term to use maybe, but for the first time, she's essentially in proper danger, right? Legitimate danger. Though of course, you know, that us the audience knows and the Doctor knew, or us the audience knows because the Doctor knew that there is something up, right? I didn't exactly know his plan, but I knew he has a plan. He's not putting Bill into danger. He's not going to leave Bill there unless he has a plan. That being said, it didn't feel like they could have done anything else anyways, but it just so happens that her suit did not have enough juice left essentially to actually finish her off, to kill her like the rest of them. So the Doctor knew that, right? And of course us the audience knows that, but still, right? She's still scared for her life. She goes through all of those traumatic moments, right? I mean, a mother that she barely got to spend any time with, but you see just how much she still matters to Bill. You see that one shot of, the photo of Bill's mom and Bill, right? At the edge of kind of turning into that, zombie-like state. I thought it was really quite a telling moment. Poignant moment, really. And this kind of perfectly ties into my point about this depiction of space feeling so grounded. You see here that space once again felt dangerous. Space had a bit of a bite to it, right? It just, there was something really alien-esque. And, Alien is a science fiction film that this show really likes to refer to quite a bit, right? So you certainly see that in this episode. So rather than feeling just like a backdrop for a story, here in this episode, space actually felt jarring and unsettling once again, didn't it? I liked it. I really quite enjoyed it. And then, of course, that tone helps in establishing this really cold and industrial feel to it all, doesn't it? Right? Again, that big critique of capitalism in space. And then, of course, that brings me to the title of the episode, Oxygen, right? And that happens to be a focal point of this episode as well, right? Oxygen being used as a commodity. I mean, in air, you have the ultimate and most fundamental human resource, right? And the last not yet to be privatized. But that's not the case in this episode, because here it's kind of essentially considered a commodity. Because here in this episode, it's quite the extreme look, quite the extreme take on a capitalistic far future gone completely mad, right? But also 5 episodes in. Another thing to note is the focus on AI. So it'll be interesting to see if this focus continues throughout the series, and this take on how AI's integration has this effect on humanity, or how it affects humanity. But also the crazy thing about this whole setup, how exactly are these crew members persuaded to take this job, right? To take this gig under such insane, such mad conditions, right? Because surely, they're not being tricked into taking it. And, I've got to say, one of the standout moments for me of this episode is, that bit about the mythical union. It's this really interesting indicator of how the last vestiges of labor protection have now degraded into stuff of legend. So yeah, that kind of got a chuckle out of me. And, I've got to say, in terms of the supporting cast, the 1 episode cast, I'd say the standout for me is Da Ren, initially confused as Darren by Bill. And of course, there's that really cheeky exchange, isn't there? A cheeky bit of dialogue, a bit of subtext, of course. Some of my friends are bluish, right? Nardol's the one who said it. So yeah, there's a lot of cheeky stuff in this episode, right? But yeah, I think as a whole, I enjoyed that episode. I did. And the ending is really quite the interesting ending, quite the fascinating ending. It sets it up nicely for the continuation of this. But yeah, if you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you are interested in timer-based full length, or perhaps early access, consider checking out the Patreon page. The links are in the description and the pinned comment, also links to social media, if that's your thing. Right then, thank you so much for joining me, folks, and thank you for your time, because time is precious. It really is. And I do hope to see you again soon for episode 6. Until then, take it easy.